She didn't scream. She didn't break anything. She didn't beg. She just watched and waited. When she discovered that her husband was cheating on her, Anna didn't make a fuss. She preferred something much more devastating, silence, because while he thought he was cheating, she was already 2 steps ahead. This is the chilling, true story of a woman who was betrayed, underestimated, and made invisible until she decided to disappear. But before that, she did something no one expected. She emptied her accounts, took her children, and she left a letter. What was written in it is the kind of thing you'll never forget. The morning light came through the thin curtain, gilding the mess in the kitchen. Anna warmed the milk with one hand, prepared the children's snacks with the other, and tried between one step and the next to keep the house in order. The alarm clock had gone off almost an hour ago, but David still hadn't got out of the shower, as usual. "Mom, Dad never helps," the little boy complained, pushing his backpack on the floor. "Sometimes helping isn't what they know how to do. It's what they avoid," she said with a discreet smile, but her gaze fixed on the bathroom door. David came out of the shower singing, towel around his waist and cell phone in hand. He walked past Anna as if she were invisible. "Honey, where's my light blue shirt?" "It's been in the basket since Tuesday, where it should be," she replied, still stirring her coffee. He muttered something incomprehensible and disappeared into the bedroom. The children ran out, laughing, fighting over who would get the front seat in the car. Anna followed them with her eyes to the door. Then the sound, discreet but distinct, his cell phone vibrating on the counter. She looked around. Nothing. He picked up the device. The screen was blocked. He took a deep breath. He tried a password. Wrong. Another. Wrong. He closed his eyes for a second and typed in the wedding date. The screen unlocked, and there it was. A message notification. Female name. Anna clicked. "That red dress you love is already sorted. I'll see you at 7. Don't be late." Heart racing. She rolled the conversation. Photos, promises, virtual laughter. She returned the cell phone to exactly where it was and went back to the sink. Water dripped from her hands. Her face was still. Inside, everything was screaming, but on the outside, nothing had changed. David returned, now dressed. "Is everything all right with the coffee?" he asked, adjusting his tie. "Yes. Your balcony's ready too. You're the best wife in the world," he said, giving her a quick kiss on the top of the head. She didn't reply. She just smiled, a paper smile. He hurried off. Anna watched from the window as he got into the car and drove off. Her gaze was steady, cold, like someone who had just woken up from a long sleep. She picked up her cell phone and called her neighbor. "Ernestina, can you stay with the children this afternoon? I need to sort some things out." "Of course, dear. Is everything all right?" Anna hesitated for a second. "It will be." She hung up and stared at her reflection in the window. The face she looked back at was no longer the same. There was something there, a certainty. She whispered to herself, "Do you want to play with me, David? Then play, but play nice, because today I'm the one watching." Anna opened the pantry slowly, her eyes attentive, her movements precise. She picked up the cookie jar that hid the natural ingredients for David's detox juices. Right there, among the seeds and fibers, was a brown bottle with an almost faded label. Nothing dangerous, but enough to cause digestive discomfort, a cold sweat, and a persistent headache. The kind of discomfort that no one could attribute to a plan. She mixed the contents into David's tapioca with precision, not so much as to arouse suspicion, just enough to make him unwell for days. "Here's your viand, David. Gluten-free." "Love," he said, holding out the pot with a decorative cloth on top. "You're the best wife in the world," he repeated, smiling as he picked up the food and the suitcase. Anna smiled back, a studied, secure, perfect smile. David kissed her on the cheek and left. She closed the door slowly, then leaned her forehead against the wood, taking a deep breath. Hours later he called. He said he'd be working late, that the investors were in town and wanted to have dinner. Anna pretended to be surprised. She pretended once again to be the one who believed everything. Of course, love. Take advantage of the opportunity. You deserve to close successfully. I knew you'd understand. I'll text you later, okay? Please don't worry about me. Take care of your commitments. David hung up. Anna, however, kept her phone in her hand for longer. The dark screen reflected her own face. She unlocked it, accessed the spy app she had installed weeks before. The location appeared precisely. Hotel Aurora, she whispered, looking at the route in real time. She dressed calmly, as if she were in no hurry. Black pants, light jacket, hair tied up. He picked up the old camera he had kept since college. It still worked. It could still reveal truths. She stopped by Ernestina's house and left the children with a kiss and a quiet smile. Her neighbor watched her with narrowed, perceptive eyes. "You look nice, huh? Going out?" To sort things out. Ernestina didn't insist. She just nodded slightly. In the car, Anna followed the red dot on the GPS to the hotel. She parked in the side street and waited for almost 20 minutes. And then she saw him. David got out of the car laughing, next to a young, exuberant woman. Red dress, high heels. It was the same woman from the message. Anna picked up the camera. Click, click, click. Then she recorded a short video. The two of them entering the lobby, holding hands. But before she could put the equipment away, she saw something unexpected. David stopped suddenly, put his hand to his stomach and bent over, staggering. The woman held him by the arm, worried. He was pale, sweating. Anna watched in silence. No hurry, no pity. The gluten-free wasn't so gluten-free, she muttered. The camera was put away. The plan went ahead. The next morning dawned lighter for Anna, not because the world had changed, but because she finally felt in control again. She prepared the children's breakfast in silence. They ate absent-mindedly, between drawings and notebooks. David still hadn't returned. He had said, in a short, rushed message, that he was going to spend the night under observation after suddenly feeling unwell during the business dinner. Anna only replied, "Rest." As soon as the children left with the school bus, she walked across the hall to Ernestina's apartment. The neighbor opened the door even before the second knock. "Didn't you sleep at home?" Ernestina asked, with that directness that didn't need to be beat around the bush. "It wasn't me who had to sleep out this time." The lady invited her in. The apartment smelled of freshly baked cake and lavender soap. "He's cheating on you, isn't he?" Ernestina asked, pouring 2 cups of tea. Anna looked up in surprise, but didn't deny it. "And you'll learn what happens when a betrayed woman uses her head." Ernestina let out a little laugh, half grumpy, half complicit. "Just be careful, miss. Revenge is a dish best eaten cold, but if you eat it alone, you might choke." Anna smiled with the corner of her mouth, taking a sip of her tea. The warmth of the drink contrasted with the coldness of what was to follow. Later she returned home, checked the tracker, the saved files, the photos. Everything was in order, but there was more to come. She wanted proof. She wanted the truth drawn out, indisputable. In the late afternoon, with David still away, she took the camera again and returned to the hotel. The receptionist didn't ask any questions. He smiled at her as if she were just another caring wife, delivering something forgotten by her husband. "I forgot to leave this charger in my husband's room yesterday. He's staying here." "Name?" She gave it. The clerk confirmed it, made a quick call. He said that the gentleman in question had left a few minutes earlier. He left the key, a sealed envelope with a receipt for expenses and the room number. In the elevator, Anna could feel her heart pounding, but her face remained impassive. Inside the room, the atmosphere exuded a feminine scent. She found a hairbrush, lipstick on the table, and David's shirt lying on the floor. She took photos of everything. She took the lipstick and wrote on the mirror, "Did you enjoy dinner?" It was lovingly made. She left the camera on in hidden mode, facing the bed. It would be the last record. He left quietly. Hours later, David came home pale, complaining about his stomach. "Something I ate didn't sit well," he said, throwing himself down on the sofa. Anna sat down next to him, pouring herself a cup of tea. "Was it dinner at the hotel?" He looked at her, surprised. "How do you know it was at the hotel?" She smiled sweetly. "Guess." David woke up late that Sunday. His head throbbed, his body complained, his stomach still felt like a rock. He tried to get up, but dizziness knocked him back to bed. Anna entered the room with a tray. Orange juice, toast, medicine. "Feeling better?" He nodded, still confused. "It was awful. I've never been so ill in my life." "It must have been the dinner. Sometimes the body rejects what's strange." He didn't respond immediately. He accepted the juice. Anna sat on the edge of the bed, watching. "Do you want me to look after you, love?" she asked, her voice sweet, but her gaze piercing. "Of course, thank you for being here." She fluffed his pillow and said softly, "With the same care you took with me." David frowned, but was too weak to process the tone. When he fell asleep again, Anna got up slowly. She picked up his cell phone, already unlocked on the dresser, and went to her office. She sat down in front of the computer and started browsing. The browsing history was clean, but she knew where to look. Banking applications, hidden folders, emails. A digital account in the name of an unknown company. Monthly transfers to a CPF she didn't recognize. All automated, all hidden. She opened the statements. The money came from a second source, an exclusive current account with constant deposits. Anna printed everything out. With each click, David's image fell apart a little more. She opened the photo gallery, connected her cell phone to her computer, and started to browse. He found pictures of trips. A weekend at the beach that he had said was a company event. An expensive dinner, gifts photographed, all for his mistress. She closed her eyes for a second. The silence in the room was dense. "You went to all this trouble to hide it, and all I had to do was wait," she muttered. She opened David's email and wrote to herself with all the attachments, documents, photos, receipts. Then she deleted the trail. She left everything as it was. Only now she had the keys. She went back to her room. David was still asleep. He was sweating. She approached the mirror, straightened her hair, and looked at her reflection. She was calm, almost serene. She touched her face with her fingertips. "Thank you, David," she whispered. "You betrayed me with such zeal that you left all the evidence organized for me." She took a step towards the door, but stopped before she left. "Rest well. You'll need to be strong for what's coming." And he left quietly, like someone who had just signed a silent contract with their freedom. David's cell phone vibrated on the living room table. He was in the shower, and Anna already knew exactly what to do. She picked it up naturally, unlocked it with the password she already knew, and entered her lover's conversation. There were the most recent messages. The name saved as Clara Eventos was just a cover. The conversation was full of intimate nicknames and requests for money. Anna typed calmly, "Love, can you give me the bank password again? I've forgotten it. I want to see if the price has dropped for the apartment we saw." She waited. Minutes later, the answer appeared. "Anything for you, my queen? It's the same as always, 2073. She took a deep breath. Her blood was flowing faster, not from the adrenaline, but from the certainty of the next step. She deleted her recent messages so that nothing would be noticed and returned the device to the same place. With her laptop in hand, she accessed the bank account that David used to support his mistress. It was all there, almost 180,000, separated into short investments, simulated transfers, and 2 credit cards in the name of a consulting company. Anna began to empty the account little by little. First, she transferred 10,000, then another 5. She created fake profiles to receive the money in alternative accounts that she herself had opened months before, with random names. Nothing was done on impulse. Everything had been thought out in silence, on the days when he thought she was crying. Ernestina received her in the late afternoon. Anna was carrying 2 small backpacks and a thick envelope. "I thought you were only coming to pick up the children," said the neighbor. "Today, I'm picking up something else too. My life." Ernestina looked her up and down, assessing the calm on Anna's face. "Are you going to run away?" "No. I'm getting out before they sink me with them." The neighbor made way for her to enter, without any further questions. Later, Anna returned home alone. David hadn't arrived yet. She used that time to scan documents, print out statements, and organize every detail. He put everything in the envelope: photos, evidence, transactions, messages, and the final letter. The last point of the plan was about to be mapped out. Before going to bed, he reviewed every financial move to make sure that no trace would compromise his new start. He created backup copies. He left one with Ernestina, another in a safe rented in the name of a third party. It was the kind of caution he had learned over time. Freedom was now more than a dream. It was logistics. David arrived just before midnight, exhausted, complaining of tiredness and the workload. Anna listened to everything, quiet as always. She made him some tea, his last. He drank it, thanked her, and was asleep in seconds. In the early hours of the morning, she stayed awake, watching the ceiling, the silence, the man who, without knowing it, had just been left. But she wouldn't find out until the next day. The sun had not yet risen when Anna finished packing her last bag. The silence in the house was thick, almost respectful. The children slept soundly, lulled by a peace she could hardly remember ever feeling. David snored in his room, oblivious to what was going on around him. Anna placed the envelope on the living room table. The letter was there, folded in 3, handwritten. She knew he would recognize the handwriting before he even read the words. She checked the documents, the notes, the backpacks. She touched her children's faces and then left, letting the door close softly. Hours later, David woke up to an empty house. He called Anna. Nothing. He went to the children's room. Beds tidy, pillows still. He felt a strange chill in his chest. He looked at the clock. It was after 9. He went into the kitchen, and then he saw the envelope. He picked it up carefully. Inside, the letter began directly. "David, don't bother looking for me. If you're reading this, it's because I've gone far enough." He sat down. He read each line with a white face. "For years I listened to your excuses, swallowed your disappearances, disguised your looks. I thought it was love until I realized that love doesn't hide behind passwords or come late smelling of cheap perfume." David rubbed his face. He continued reading. "You had it all, and you wasted it. You lied, looking me in the eye, and you thought I'd never notice. But I did, and I kept writing it down, recording it, waiting." He got up, walked around in circles. He picked up his cell phone and tried to call. First to Anna, voicemail, then the school. The children weren't there. He tried Ernestina, but no one answered. She went back to the letter. "Don't cry for me. Cry for everything you've lost, because you never valued it. Cry for the time that won't come back, for the home you destroyed in silence, and for the woman who no longer exists, because the Anna you knew died the same day you discovered her lie. The one who leaves now is another." Stunned, he tried to trace her cell phone, but she had changed the SIM card. He tried to access the company's digital account. The password had been changed. No, it's not possible." He opened the door, shouted her name in the corridor. Nothing. He went down to the street and looked around. A whole world of strangers passed him by, and none of them had the face he was looking for. He went back to the apartment. He sat down on the sofa. He picked up the letter again. He read one last sentence. "From now on, my silence will be the only answer. And don't worry, I'm not going to destroy you. You've already done that yourself." David dropped the letter on the floor. He looked at the house, empty, clean, still. And there at last, he understood. He was overcome not by anger, but by the patience of a woman who, in silence, prepared her own escape, while he dug out his own end. The place was simple but quiet. a single-story house with light curtains and the smell of new beginnings. Anna was sitting on the sofa, watching her children draw on the living room floor. The light coming through the window seemed to announce that something had finally come to an end. Ernestina was making tea in the kitchen. She had moved in with them temporarily, under the pretext of helping with the children, but Anna knew it was more than that. It was presence. She was support. She was the only person who knew everything right from the start. The eldest approached with a drawing in his hands. "Mom, is Dad coming?" Anna swallowed. She looked at the drawing, a doll holding hands with another small doll. In the sky, a giant sun was smiling. Not today, and maybe never again. The boy nodded, as if he already knew. Ernestina appeared with the cups. "Do you need to talk to someone?" "I've already talked to you." And in the end, she was the only one who really listened to me. The lady sat down next to her and ran her hand through her hair. "You're not alone," Anna smiled, the kind of smile that comes slowly after a long time in hiding. A few days later, with the children adapted, she sat down at the computer. She typed in the name of the lawyer recommended by an acquaintance. She made an appointment. It was time to make everything official: custody, alimony, legal separation. At the lawyer's office, she was direct. "I want to guarantee my children's future and my freedom. I don't want war, I want justice." The lawyer, used to long processes of pain, listened in silence. "Do you have proof?" She handed over the envelope. "I have everything. From the beginning, even what nobody sees." What nobody sees. A woman who's tired of being left behind. They signed the initial documents. He asked for deadlines, explained the steps, but she just wanted to get on with it, one step at a time. On the way home, in the back seat of the cab, she observed the streets with a new eye. She no longer looked for familiar faces. She no longer expected to see David turning a corner. Fear was now a distant breeze, and guilt, a memory she refused to carry. Arriving home, she found her children playing with Ernestina in the yard. The youngest ran to hug her. "Mom, you really smiled now." She bent down, picked him up and replied, "Did you notice?" "Uh-huh." Anna looked around. Everything was still new, nothing was guaranteed, but for the first time she didn't feel held hostage by anyone. And deep down she knew. Freedom wasn't just about leaving, it was knowing that, wherever she was, nothing and no one could silence her anymore. David hadn't slept properly for days. The apartment, once full of familiar voices and noises, was now a museum of his own failure. The children's toys were still on the shelf. Anna's cupboard remained empty, but her scent seemed to be impregnated in the walls, the pillows, and the very air he breathed. Sitting on the sofa, he looked at the screen of his cell phone. The last message he had sent was still there. "Tell me where you are, please." But there was no reply, no delivery, no sign that she was still reading or cared. He tried calling again. No number. "Anna," whispered into the distance. The doorbell rang. He got up quickly, his heart racing. He opened the door, expecting... But it was a delivery man. An envelope. "For Mr. David," said the boy. He signed, closed the door, and opened the envelope with trembling hands. Legal documents, guardianship action, pension, declaration of removal, all signed. On the last page, a simple, handwritten note. "It's not revenge, it's protection." He dropped the envelope on the floor. He sat still. And there, he understood. She wasn't coming back. Never. Meanwhile, Anna walked with her children along a dirt track. A remote place, surrounded by trees, where the sound of the city didn't reach them. The eldest ran ahead, the youngest holding her hand. Ernestina followed slowly behind, wearing a hat that covered half her face. They stopped under a large tree. Anna spread a towel on the ground, handed out fruit and opened a juice. Everything was simple, almost banal, but there was peace. "Mom, are we going to be happy now?" Anna looked at her son. His face was sweaty. His eyes shone with something she recognized. Hope. She took a deep breath before answering. Now, yes, because now no one decides for me. Ernestina sat down next to them, picked up an apple, and said with a half-smile, "You know what's funny? You only find out what freedom is when it stops hurting." Anna nodded. She didn't answer, but I knew exactly what she meant. After the picnic, they walked home in silence. At the gate, the letter carrier delivered another envelope, this time in her name. She opened it in the hallway. It was confirmation of her children's enrollment in a new school. All done. That evening, alone on the sofa, Anna wrote a line in a new notebook with a red cover. "My name is Anna, and this is the first night I don't feel afraid." She closed the notebook. She kissed her sleeping children, and for the first time in a long, long time, she went to sleep too, not to escape, but because at last she was at peace.